Hello everybody and welcome to A Voice in the Wilderness. Today I wanted to talk about wasting energy or being forceful or being that person that's difficult to work with because you have to be right. Excuse me, or being around people that always have to be right, or using that difficult side of the mind where you use that difficult approach to everything where you become your own worst enemy. I guess this video could really turn into being your own worst enemy. So before you turn the video off, I'm going to talk about jiu-jitsu. And some of you might be like, what does jiu-jitsu have to do with me? Okay, I'm going to turn, no, listen first before you turn off the video, because jiu-jitsu is an art form and a practice that it can really show you these flaws. Where other arts we practice, you may not see this flaw. Once I tell you this analogy, you'll be like, oh, this is what I do with painting, or this is what I do in my relationship, or this is what I do on the job. But about a month ago, I did a tournament in Jiu-Jitsu Naga down in Vegas. And I did gi and no gi. Gi I did fairly well in, or sorry, no gi I did fairly well in. And then when I did gi, I was with a more inexperienced fighter. Okay. As soon as the bell went off, this man just grabbed a hold of my gi and just stiff armed me, holding his breath. His face got purple and he's just stiff arming me. We're going around the ring and he's just holding me nice and tight and doing this. He didn't have any tactic. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't understand what was going on. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. We finally scurry around on the ground a little bit, and I start to relax a little bit with him because I realize he has nothing. He doesn't have any knowledge. So this was absolute. And for those of you that know what absolute is, some tournaments means whoever against whoever. If you're a white belt, you can go against a black belt if you want to try. If you're 120 pounds, you can try it. A 300-pound opponent, okay, because other parts of the tournament do not allow that. So this guy just got a hold of me, and he was tense. When he got on the ground, he was very tense. Everything he was doing was tense. And I actually rolled around, and I felt like someone was going to get hurt really bad. So I started relaxing more with him, and he got his hooks in me, which means he crawls on my back and gets his and kind of walks up my legs with his feet. And he got 2 points for that. And I actually allowed it because I wanted him to wear out. So we scurried around a little bit. He gets me in his guard. And so I go ahead and I just taking a deep breath, relaxing. And this guy is just tense. He is just tense. Every position he gets in, he doesn't know what to do. So he's using his strength. He's using this thing. So I go ahead and I let him get me in his guard. For those of you who don't understand, it's where you wrap your legs around somebody and you kind of hold them and control them with your legs. Kind of a horrible description there. However, his face was getting purple and he couldn't breathe. And I'm like, I'm going to sit here and just wait. I'm just going to wait. I feel his legs start to get shaky. He starts to come up, give up, come up and get up. Then finally, push his legs off with my elbow, shoot through. I grab his gi. I do like a cross collar choke. Get him in it, pull him in, get him in mount, and ding, 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 the bell goes off. They held up his hand because he got 2 points from the hooks. And the thing about that is he said, oh man, you had me. You had me. I was done. I was going to tap out. That bell didn't go off. You would have had me. His coach said the same thing. Now, the second match, after a few minutes of him resting, I could hear his coach lecturing him, and the coach was telling him what I thought. The coach was even telling him, I know this guy's tactic was. I was waiting for him to wear out so I could get through and choke him because he had nothing. Okay? Easy opponent. Sorry, if he sees this, I'm sorry, but, it's the truth. And even his coach was lecturing him, you can't go in there like that and stiff arm and hold your breath and give it all your might. You need to be relaxed and loose. If you go down, use your guards. Okay? He kept telling him, do not, you got to relax and loosen up. Okay? So the next match, he did the same exact thing with his next opponent. Halfway through the match, the guy tapped out. Not his opponent, my opponent that went on to the second round. He had no more gas left. His face was purple. He was exhausted. And the thing is, nobody did anything to this guy. He didn't do anything to this guy. He was his own worst enemy. The guy that won the match did nothing. He had the same tactic I did. He just relaxed and just got him in mountains, playing around with him a little bit because he knew he gave it his all in the first match with me, and now he's going to give him his all in this match. He's not going to last. And that's exactly how that team played that game with that match. It was just let the guy wear himself out. And it was successful. And it made me think, because this happens in jiu-jitsu a lot. Let me give you a few other stories and analogies, and I'm going to tell you where I'm going through with this and how this can apply to your life. There's times even in jiu-jitsu and MMA that you will scurry around and you'll get super tense and you'll get crazy in your match and you don't have anything, but in your head you have it where you just got to survive and be strong. You're just using your strength for lack of knowing technique, for lack of knowing what you're doing, for lack of listening and retaining the messages and the lessons. So what happens is as you scurry around, you fight the guy off of you, you might finally get in a better position where you're dominating your opponent. But because you have your hands more out, and let me tell you something, martial artists don't understand this. When you actually do MMA and you do jiu-jitsu, you know that if you exhaust all this right here and you get hold of your opponent, you're in trouble because there's nothing left. Okay? That's what happens when you scurry around. You go get the guy a chokehold or get him in an arm bar, but this is fatigued from all the fighting. You may not be able to finish it off. That's why a good coach will have you pace yourself. That's why higher belts won't even go near, even though they could dominate you in certain areas, they won't go near it because they know it's going to be a fight. They know it's going to wear them out, and they know if I get to this next point, I'm not going to be able to finish my job. And this is where we use this in life, not to become your own worst enemy and stand in your way and destroy your opportunities in life. And I'm talking about everything: marriage, work, friendships, goals. Let's start off with goals. How many people watching this video right now have put so much into their goals so fast to make it happen ahead of its time that now things are starting to develop and your finances are exhausted, your drive is exhausted, and or so much time and money has been put in those goals that now you're forced to have to take on another career to make up for what you've been doing. Now you cannot go and finish this goal and it looks like it's going to grow, and you're in a position you cannot take risk. This is where we have to learn to pace ourselves. Again, this philosophy will go into many different things because there's times we're approaching something, we think we're doing everything right, but not doing the right things. Do a little bit, back off. Do a little bit, get in a good position and right on that position. It may not be where you want to be, but if it's safe, it's growing and everything's fine, leave it alone, let it work its way out. But part of this, of us using too much of our energy and wasting our energy and having to be right, and this ego of, I'm going to get in and fight this guy. Part of that is this, and I have no idea how to put it into words, but I think everybody's going to understand this because it's a problem with men and women where you have to be right and you have to approach things that this is the way it's going to be and this is how I'm going to do it. And when you approach things like this, you're going to get on the other side and you're going to either start losing, or you think you're winning and really you're not, or you start winning in life on these situations, but you've got nothing left to give once you hit a certain point. Do we do this in the morning with our husbands or wives where we start the day off tense and rough, and it has to be done this way, and we're going to use all that energy to get this issue we're arguing about corrected right now, or we're just going to wake up in a bad mood, and now we have nothing left for the rest of the day. So the day is going to be hard. The week is going to be hard. Things that we can make more successful for that day, there's no more energy to put into it because we wasted it arguing with the wife, or the wife arguing with the husband. And at the end of the day, did it really matter if you were right about that situation? And some of you know what I'm talking about. Right now, if you're not really hearing me right now, either you're the problem or you haven't really had to deal with this in your life yet. How about we're trying to change our life and nothing's working? Could this be one of the things that's not working? Is because everything we're trying to change, even with the best of intentions, we're putting so much into these changes that there's nothing left to be able to follow through with these changes and follow through. Are we doing the right things? Again, doing everything right, but not doing the right things. I'm drinking heavy on Saturday night. I'm going to sneak a few drinks on Sunday. Well, now I'm in a bad mood on Monday morning, and I argue with my wife. I'm arguing with my clients, or my employees, or my employers. And here I am trying to change my life to be a more positive person. But this day that matters, it's going to set up the rest of this week. We just use all of our resources, all of our healing factors, everything that will help us. We tore through all that on Saturday or Sunday. Now we have nothing left to give Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. As we're hitting the week, we're going to start wearing down. And we already got wore down from the weekend. Again, some of you this may not apply to you. Some of you, duh. Some of you might be like, you know, I think he's right. Something's been talking to me about stopping drinking on Saturday night because I still feel like crap on Monday morning. How about our relationships, our single people? When we first meet somebody, right, we're not committed to them. We have our rights, we have our freedoms, and you're not going to own me and control me. Again, we're approaching this situation like we did in our matches in jiu-jitsu. Just tense thing with a chip on our shoulder, and just is how we're going to deal with it. So basically, we're going to try to, part of the mating process or getting to know people and going on dates is we are looking for a prospect that will be with us the rest of our life. So how do we start this? We start it with every bad attitude possible. Well, I'm not committed right now, and I'm not married right now, and you're not going to control me right now, and I have my rights, and I'm going to do things this way. Before we even give a chance to see, is this somebody I can trust? Is this somebody I can submit to? And I know submission scares a lot of people off. Get out of the relationship. If you're not ready to submit to your significant other, then you're not ready for a relationship, because all relationships have submissions. All relationships have submissions. I'm in jiu-jitsu. When someone puts me in a bad situation, or let's say use the word bad situation, jiu-jitsu is almost like a conversation. Somebody gets me in a submission. Do I want to submit for safety and for health and because I'm learning something? Or am I going to fight back and be an asshole? And the guy's like, okay, my arm gets broken. Part of that is my fault. If you've ever done jiu-jitsu and MMA, a lot of injuries sometimes, it's not the dominating opponent's fault. Sometimes it's the beginner's fault. Sometimes it is the person's fault that is getting submitted. They'll blame the person. You went too hard. And then that is true sometimes. Please don't disregard that. But there's sometimes, and again, if you've done jiu-jitsu and MMA, you know what I'm talking about. You get that egotistical jackass that is going to fight through something he does not know how to fight through. And sometimes he twists the wrong way and breaks his own shoulder, or breaks his own wrist, or breaks his own ankle, or tears his own ACL. And the guy's like, I wasn't going that hard on him. Is that what we're doing in life? Is approaching things just asleep. Our minds are not awake. But we think by being aggressive and having these things where I'm just going to do it this way, we have this attitude because nothing's working for us, so we're just going to keep blasting through things and just keep tearing up things, thinking at some point this is going to work. And it's not working. Are we approaching a relationship where you have to have 20 guys to make you happy, using all your resources, using all your strengths, using all your focus, and then you keep ending up in a bad situation? This is why I can't commit, because I keep getting with the bad boys. And for some of you, this might be true. But if you would stop, pull back, start things off correctly, I'm not saying things are going to be perfect and you're going to find Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. I'm saying you will give yourself a chance to really be able to start this relationship and make it be something you never dreamed of, or identify as fast as possible, this person's a problem and I need to run like hell. Because now we're starting to learn, and now we're starting to have a strategy. Instead of just throwing stuff out and seeing what works, it's not working. That's why I say give this video a chance, because in MMA and Jiu-Jitsu, we see very evident over and over and over again. Talk to any coach out there. You can totally see it's one art that will show you your mistakes you are making in life. The mat is the truth. Not saying you have to go practice jiu-jitsu and MMA to learn this. But are you this guy on the mat? Sure, you won this match. It's fake because you ran out of time and it's not on the street. In a real fight, if somebody really wanted to go 100% on you, you're not going to last. But you couldn't finish the tournament. You couldn't finish matches because you used everything. How many of you are you on your third divorce? We keep losing here. Some of you, I understand where you're coming from. I understand this isn't all your fault. But what are we doing to start educating our souls and our mind to be able to learn how to handle certain things, see certain things, identify with certain things? Or do we just keep going out for chances? On our job, in our family, when we approach everything with this nonsense energy of just attacking things with all of our might, with all of our attitude, how much of that has worked for you? And don't get me wrong, I know there are times in your life when, and I've seen this, I've witnessed this, everyone's sitting around the table and everyone's really dumb on how to handle stuff. And sometimes the best solution is just what I'm saying you be careful of. You just got to attack it aggressively and be done with it. Right? You're at the table, everyone's arguing, family's arguing, what do we do about finance? What do we do with this? Cut up the credit card, don't cut up the credit card. We know that's the problem. And the wife gets up, boom, there we go. It's taken care of. Everyone's mad and pissed. But the bill goes down more and more every month. There's less things you have to find room for. So there's times once in a while, yes, the nonsense aggressive, but see, that nonsense aggressive does come with wisdom though. If you just did it stupid and haphazardly, then maybe it didn't work. I'm getting off on an entirely different rant because again, the focus right now is that crazy, unnecessary energy. How do we get past this? Always thinking twice and pulling back. This is what makes a good fighter. I want you to look and study the fighters in the ring, the ones that kind of hang out, pull back, chill out, the jiu-jitsu guys that hang out, pull out. If you ever see a fast fighter that takes stuff out fast, I promise you in their mind they're pulling back. Us, when we're seeing it, we're like, oh man, that guy responded really fast. No. He saw 3 or 4 things before that he thought, I got to set up for this to make this happen. Before you yell at your husband, take a step back. Is it necessary? Before you go and blow $1,000 that you know it's going to put you and your household in trouble, step back for a minute. It's as simple as that. Taking a step back. Chill out a little bit. That's what I did in that ring. I could have fought all day long after that because I didn't use any energy. I just stepped back and let him waste his own energy. The second guy that went up and fought him, he didn't do anything. He just like, I'm just going to hang back. And the guy tapped himself out. His own worst enemy. Are you your own worst enemy? You're your own worst enemy because you're approaching everything with this attitude. Some of you, this video is for you. Some of this video, you know you have a bad attitude. You know you're approaching stuff without thinking things through. This is your new goal. If this video is touching you, this is your new goal. We're going to start stepping back. We're going to start relaxing a little bit. Before I yell at my child, I'm going to take a step back. Make sure I understand the situation. We're not going to take too long, though. It's a fight. You can't take 2 or 3 days to figure out this fight. You only got 3 minutes, but you also don't have to jump in on the first second. You're dating somebody. We're going to step back a little bit. I'm not sleeping with you on the 3rd date. All these guys want to date you. You know what? I'm doing something here. Just take a step back. You're dating this guy. Trying to see, is he worth going further with? But don't ignore yourself. We're going to take a step back from everybody. I'm going to go to yoga class. Then I'll go on a date with you. Same thing with you guys. Don't give that woman everything just yet. We're going to take a step back. And we're not going to hang out with the boys. We're going to step back for ourselves and with ourselves. Just take a step back. Before I yell at my employer, just take a step back. Before I approach everything in life, just take a deep breath. We're just going to step back. Some of you, this is easy. Some of you don't need this video. Some of you hotheads and some of you people that keep finding yourself in the same damn bad situation day after day, after day, after day. It's time to stop and take a step back and take a deep breath. If you don't know what to do, it's probably best not to do anything. And I know that goes against a lot of advice out there. I know there's a lot of people that will hate hearing that or say it. But see, I used to coach MMA too. One last story, and then we're going to just call it quits and let you guys chew on this. I had one student that he signed up for a fight without me approving that he should be in the fights. So now we really had to train him hard and put him in bad situations to get him through some of this process of, I can relax when I'm doing some of this stuff with fighting. I don't have to do this all the time, because he was like that. So I signed him up for a jiu-jitsu tournament. He got upset. He says, I'm not ready for it. But I'm like, but you signed up for a fight, so we gotta work this out in your head before you go out in that ring, man. We gotta work this out in your head. And he's like, I don't know that many takedowns. That's why we don't want to sign up for a fight yet, because now reality's setting in. But this jiu-jitsu match, I told him, you're going to win this match, and here's how you're going to win it. You're not going to engage with this guy. You're going to take your time. Oh, man, I don't know. What happens if he knows more than me? He is going to know more than you. He's going to know a lot more than you. He's just strictly a grappler. He's not an MMA guy. You can't go in there thinking you're going to go in there and hit him, because it's a different game. So we worked only on 2 or 3 things with his defenses. That was it. And I was like, you're just going to work on getting those defenses, let him go down first, and you're going to fight like hell to get that knee on belly or side control. And I'm not going to explain all it is. Some of you jiu-jitsu guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So this guy went in there with barely any grappling experience, and he did win the match. He won the match because he finally got through his head, I don't have to engage in this. And you're like, well, it's a fight. How do you, well, again, we could talk about this for hours and hours, and this is something you could study for 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years on engagement and fighting. But if you have the right blocks, the right posts, the right posture, it can make even the most experienced person very difficult to take you down. If you're focused on it, you got to realize this is something he was focusing on, and that's all he was focusing on. So there's that. So it wasn't like he just magically learned this and went the next day. So we're working constantly on posts and posture and balance. Let this guy be his own worst enemy. And the guy ended up on the ground, and they scurried a little bit, and he finally got his knee on belly. Hold it for 3 seconds. He got 2 points. That was it. That's how he won the match. That's how he won it. Okay? Just not engaging. And when he was done with the match, he was relaxed. Neither one of them were really out of breath. But that's the point. You don't have to engage in this thing right now. You can take a step back. You can take a breath. You can't have, I don't want to argue about this right now. I don't want to fight about this right now. I presented with something, I don't know how to deal with this. Take a deep breath. I don't want to deal with it right now. If you have to deal with it that day, give yourself 5 minutes. Then start to look up how I can deal with this. Whatever you need to do, call a friend, go on Google, go on YouTube. I don't know. There's 1,000 issues out there. We can't cover them all in one video. But that is the point of this. Taking a step back, deep breath, and just gathering yourself together and proceeding with everything you do with a certain amount of care and caution, and be very delicate in your situations, not to become your own worst enemy and to sabotage everything you're trying to do in your home, in your work, in your life. Anyways, I hope you found some value in this video. It's a little bit different than what I normally talk about. If you like this video, if you like what I do, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd be so kind once in a while, if you care to, I have a link down in the description for donations. It helps keep this channel alive. It also helps me to be able to put on retreats for people that want to come. I do charge for the retreats, but sometimes when we get enough funds, I'll see somebody or know somebody that really can't afford it. And I kind of figured, you know what, there's enough. You don't have to pay for it. Come on in. And I don't like people to take advantage of that. But there's some people, they're fine where they're at. They're just maybe 50 bucks short, 20 bucks short, and they're dependable and they're not crazy people and not anyone you have to worry about. Anyways, let's leave it at that. Join me again for A Voice in the Wilderness.